kitchen. So Christmas is almost upon us and we only have a few more weeks. So I thought I would do another Christmas inspired video tutorial for this week. So I'm going to show you how to make these really cute penguin cakesicles. Now cakesicles are very similar to cake pops, so you've got cake inside and a nice candy coating on the outside. So let's get started. Okay, so the things that we're going to need in order to make the penguin cakesicles is, first of all, I've got my silicone lolly mould, and this is just the mini version. I've then got my wooden sticks, some vanilla sponge cake. Now this one I've just crumbled down already, but just to give you an idea, so this is 80 grams, which is the equivalent of 2 cupcakes. I've then got some vanilla buttercream and my candy melts. Now I've just got black and white, some different colours in icing, just some modelling tools here, my edible glue and some dusky pink edible tints, and lastly I've got a piping bag. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just melt down some of those white candy melts. Now I've just melted these in the microwave with intervals of around 10 to 20 seconds, and I'm going to start just by placing the white candy melts into a piping bag and trim off a very small hole. Now I'm using the white candy melts just to create the front of my penguin. So all I want to do is just place the white candy melts coming up until it's about 1 centimetre from the top of the mould. You can either go all the way around to create an arch-like shape, or you can create a little dip which is like the top of a heart. Just making sure that the top of the shape is even on both sides. I'm then just going to bring the candy melt down the bottom just so they cover that whole area, and do exactly the same to all 4. Once the white part of the penguins has all been filled, all I'm going to do is just pop my sticks in just to clear that area, just because we've covered that. And I'm just going to place the mould in the fridge for around 5 to 10 minutes, just for that first layer of candy melts to harden. Okay, so I've just gone ahead and melted my black candy melts. So I'm just going to take a tablespoon and just pop that in each of the trays. I'm then just going to use a spoon and just smooth that around the mould, making sure that I go all the way up the sides. So you just want the candy melts to be around a thickness of 2 to 3 millimeters. So all we're doing is just leaving space in the center just so we can add our cake. Now I'm just going to use a knife and just run that around the edge to get off any excess. I'm then just going to take my mini sticks and just push that through the mould. Now I'm not going to push them all the way up just because we want to add our cake in. Now if the candy melts have started setting, you might want to go in from the other side. I'm just going to pop this into the fridge for another 5 minutes, just for those black candy melts just to harden. Okay, so in order to prepare my cake ready to go into my cakesicles, I'm just going to take my sponge cake, which I've already crumpled into small little pieces, and I'm just going to take a small amount of buttercream and just mix that in until the whole lot is combined and you get kind of a doughy texture. Now you might just need to use your hands, make sure that all the cake and the buttercream has combined. Okay, so once your cake and your buttercream is all combined into this doughy texture, it's now ready to add. Okay, so once the mould has been taken out of the fridge and that black candy melt has completely hardened, I'm just going to take the cake that we have just prepared and just start by taking small amounts and just pushing that into the mould. Now I want to fill the mould up, but just leave a slight gap just around the side so that we can cover the whole of the back with more of those candy melts. And just to give you an idea of how much cake mixture you will need, the amount that I prepared will fill about 7. So once that's all filled up, I'm just going to take my sticks and just push them all the way in so they're sitting within that cake. I'm then just going to take the rest of my black candy melts and just put a coating of that on the back just to close them up. And I'm just scraping off any excess just to make sure that those cakesicles will be nice and flat on the back. Okay, so once the back of those cakesicles has all been covered, I'm just going to pop this in the fridge for the last time, just so that all those candy melts are completely firm so that we can turn our penguins out. Okay, so now I've taken those out of the fridge and the candy melts have gone completely hard. I'm just going to take the cakesicles out of their molds. So there we have the first part of our penguin. So I'm just going to take all 4 out. So as you can see, we've got the start of our penguins with this white area just on the front and the black candy melts around the edge. So I'm just going to trim off any excess around the edge. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is add some features. So the first thing that I'm going to do is add some wings and a face onto the front. Okay, so I've just got some icing here. To make this, I actually mixed some black with some purple and also a small amount of blue, just to try and make it look the same color as our candy melts, just because they're slightly off black. So I'm just going to roll that out, and I'm just going to use the end of a piping tip and just cut out some circles and just push it on one side of those just with my fingers, just to make kind of a teardrop shape. I'm then just going to take a small amount of edible glue, and I'm just going to glue them halfway down my penguin, just going half over the black and half into that white, just so our penguin has some little wings. Okay, so the next thing to do is to add some eyes. So I'm just going to take a really small amount of that black icing and just roll it out into an oval shape and make two in exactly the same size, and just stick those on the front. And I'm also going to give him some really small eyebrows. So I'm just going to roll out some black icing as thin as I can get it, and then just going to pick those up with my paintbrush and just pop them above his eye. I've then just got some yellowy orange icing. So I've just got a really small ball of that icing here, and I'm just going to roll that out to a point on one side and just push that onto my hand, just so we get this little cone shape. I'm then going to add that onto the front of our penguin, just as a little bit. I'm then going to add some feet to the bottom. So I just want a slightly larger ball, roll that out and just push that on one side so we get a similar cone shape. Then just flatten that and just glue that to the bottom of the penguin, just so they're coming up slightly. Use the back of my craft knife and just push two little dents into those, just to make some little toes. And to finish off his face, I'm just going to take some of my dusky pink edible tint on the end of a small fluffy brush, and I'm just going to pop that onto his cheek. Okay, so for my first penguin, I'm just going to add some earmuffs. So I've just got this turquoise icing, and I'm just going to roll that out first, just to create a strap to go over his head, and just cut a strip which is about 5mm wide, and just lay that on top, trim that off to give us space to add the earmuff section. I'm then going to take some of that icing and just roll it out into two small pea-sized balls. Flatten those down just so you've just got this little mound icing. I'm then going to use my modelling tool with the point on the end, and I'm just going to go in and just create little circles on top of that icing, just to give the appearance that it's fluffy. And once I've gone over all of that, attach those on. So there we have our first penguin Cakesicle. Okay, so for our next penguin, I'm going to give him a Christmas hat. So I've just got some red and some white icing. So I'm just going to start by taking a ball of the red icing. Now this one is about 1 inch in diameter, and I'm just going to roll that between the two edges of my hand, just to create a cone shape. I'm then just going to push the end down to flatten that, and using my fingers, I'm just going to push into the base just to make it rounded so it will sit on our Cakesicle. Create a small dent in that hat just so we can pull the top over. I can then place that on the side of our penguin's head. Now to finish this off, I'm just going to give it a nice trim around the edge and a bulb on the end. So I'm just going to take some of my white icing and roll out a sausage shape, flatten that down. Now I'm going to take the end of my pointed modelling tool again and just do exactly the same as I did with the earmuffs, and just go in and just with small circles just to create some movement. And once that's a few inches in length, I'm just going to add a bit of edible glue onto the edge of that hat and just stick that into place. And I'm just going to make sure that just wrap all the way around the back. I'm then just going to take a small amount of that white icing and do exactly the same thing. So we're just going to create the ball to go on the end of his hat and just mess that icing up a little bit. So there we have our penguin with our Christmas hat. So here we have two different designs of Cakesicles. So you can go ahead and add these to all of your Cakesicles. I really hope you've enjoyed this video and will enjoy making your own penguin Cakesicles. If you have, then don't forget to give this video a like. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, including some unicorn Cakesicles and even more Christmas themed video tutorials, then don't forget to head over to the channel and subscribe. You can also hit that notification bell next to the subscribe button, and this will just alert you every time a new video is uploaded. So until next time, bye!